All right, what's up? And so I've been pretty inconsistent with the posts lately because I've been considering what my next move is going to be. To another website. Will I start my own website once again? Probably. But I think that I will, as long as YouTube is up, I'll probably use videos from YouTube and put them on there or whatever. Anyway, I'm canceled. You're canceled. Everybody's fucking canceled. You see the thumbnail, and I got to talk about it. And I must say, for a bunch of people who hate to walk on eggshells, you sure do like walking on eggshells. All right, that's it. That's the punchline. All right, see you guys later. Nah, but in all realness, how do we deal with uh with a time like this? Now, I understand like individually, none of the things that are getting canceled and retracted, all these things, none of them are big enough to ruin you. It's just the culmination of the little annoyances that just tend to get under your skin. Oh, Mr. Potato Head, he can't be Mister anymore. Oh, Pepe Le Pew, you know, who is it? Pick somebody. You say something that mainstream media doesn't agree with, and that's it. That's it for you. I think the way people are bullying Dwayne Wade for having a trans daughter is disgusting as outrage. All right, well, I ain't talking about that right now. Okay, so what? It's the fact that it's first of all, Mrs. Potato Head does exist. So it's not that they want to take a gender away from a potato. No, it's not about that. It's like why do you even feel the need to change that all of a sudden? What if it's not if it's not significant, why change it then? You know what I'm saying? Why? And it's like anything that you want to exist, why don't you just create it then? You don't have to go back and try to take it away. People live in fear, almost asking for permission to be themselves. And this has nothing to do with the potatoes. I'm not talking about potato for it's just something that came to mind, but it's a part of something bigger, of a bigger story here. So it's not just one thing. It's not a singular thing. To be honest, I'm probably not as annoyed as uh, everyone else would be. I guess just because, like, me personally, I don't really feel the need to be politically correct all the time. I have my own internal, kind of moral codes, and it's just like, uh, what, what, what feels right to me, what feels wrong, and a lot of things that I don't agree with, I probably won't speak out. I probably won't speak out against because it's like it may not be beneficial to do so. Like I never really find it an issue to like really speak on how anybody lives their lives unless victims are involved. Unless there's crimes against humanity, then I got the biggest mouth. You know what I'm saying? But it's the fact that we feel the need to police everyone as if it only changed the outward expression. So people will always have uh, their ways of expressing what it means to be them, and it actually can turn out in a toxic way, and also it can just turn out in a way where it doesn't really do any good for the people celebrating it. And I'll give you one of the greatest examples, and I talked about this before. Do you remember Donald Sterling? He was the owner of the Clippers. He said something that people deemed to be racist. It could have been. I don't care. That doesn't, because my point is following this. And so there was an outcry by many people, fans and players and other owners and GMs all across the league. We don't like that racist stuff. Get out of here, you fucking racist. Oh, yeah, and by the way, sell your team. $2.1 billion, the most any team has ever been sold. A team that's never won a championship. Get out of here. Take this $2 billion. Get out of here, old man. I bet you won't even be able to spend all this money we're going to give you to get out of our league. Get out. And people were really seeing it as a fucking victory. And like, I know that, man, I don't know, maybe he was pissed off because he felt whatever he felt. I don't give a fuck how he felt. But I'm like, bro, you paid me $2 billion just to fade away. That's it. Like, I ain't going to jail or nothing. And you can't stop me from doing what it is I want to do with my money. So I got my $2 billion from selling a shitty ass team, a team that still to this day hasn't won a championship. I can't tell you when they will. Some may say they have a great chance. Okay, whatever. But you gave an old ass man who I think was in his late 70s at the time, maybe. He was at least in his 70s. $2 billion. You take that money and flip it by the end of the year. Okay, he can be a silent investor. He can be an angel investor, whatever it is. You think you're hurting somebody like that? That's one of the antidotes to the cancel culture. Now, I'm not telling anybody to go out of their way and try to stir up trouble and just be insensitive when it comes to people. But I think if you're afraid of being canceled for reasons like you want to wear your hair a certain way, or a job, may fire you for wearing your hair a certain way, or getting revealing tattoos, or I don't know, whatever it may be that isn't necessarily taboo or it isn't unethical, then you have to put yourself in a position where you you have something to fall back on where you really can't get canceled, essentially. And so I'll give you an example because I like Derek Grace. He has tattoos all over his face, and he's always taking videos with guns and stuff, and he teaches his children how to properly use guns, and he teaches his children financial literacy. And in his classes, he uses a lot of profanity, but he knows his stuff. And if you don't like certain things about Derek Grace, because he's not breaking the law, you know what I'm saying, you can report him to his job. You know what I'm saying? Even if he gets disrespectful with somebody online, you can't report him to his job or whatever. Now you can speak out against him, and maybe you hurt his business based on what he does. But if he practices what he preaches, and I'm sure he does, he puts his money into investments that will sustain him. And with, for example, with who he is as a person, I don't think it'd be enough. There's not any reason to cancel him. I'm just saying, like, he has the freedom to live life as he sees fit, which doesn't mean he crosses any moral barriers for real. It's just, it really contradicts what it means to be an earner in this world. And a lot of our grandparents and parents would tell us, oh, don't get tattoos on your face, because you won't get hired, you won't get a job, and all of these things. And well, then you make your own goddamn job, and I'm not telling anybody to just make that bet on themselves. If you do, you do. But the barrier to entry to be an earner has completely changed. And to everybody else, I'm not going to tell anybody what to say, what to do, what to be concerned about. But if it matters so much to you to live a life that is authentic, in your own right, in your own terms, then I think that you have to be willing to put yourself out there, someone who's just not going to stand for certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like, because at the end of the day, who decides what everyone should live by? You know what I'm saying? Like, who really decides? And what you will find is that it's just people who bleed just like you. And you shouldn't be punished because you don't see the world the way other people do. And but see, we live in it's a great time for me to talk about this because we live in a time where censorship is just at an all-time high. I mean, book burning has returned. As a black man, if you think I'm not going to notice something like that, you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? They get to define on the spot what hate speech is. You know what I'm saying? And it could your hate speech could basically be you don't agree with something. Like if you thought the election was rigged or something like that. Hate speech, hate speech. Now, can you imagine, like the curiosity that's going to come from people trying to figure out why so much is being buried, why so much is being burned, why so much is being censored? Can you imagine the blowback from that? Of course you can, because it's like for somebody like me, for example, and everyone, it's not the case for everyone, but not too long ago, I remember a Google that was not as heavily censored as it is now. And so if you want to know you were on the right path, just see what's censored now. Just see what they are trying to silence you with now, with bullshit ass fact checkers. I mean, some of these fact checkers are so ridiculous. Some of these fact checkers say, no, this is false. And you say, okay, why is it false? Because the people who are being accused said it's false. Oh, okay. And that's all a fucking fact checker is, invested by people who it's in their best interest to make sure that the fact checkers side with them. And so if I could reflect on my own personal life, because I'm an iconoclast, not necessarily a rebel without a cause, but if there's certain things that I just don't agree with, then I have to speak out on it. And if people choose to cancel me for that, well, then they choose to cancel me for that. I mean, I don't care. Some people won't like me just because I'm me. I see it every day. Some people won't support me just because I'm me. That's it. Some people feel burdened by someone who has the audacity to just live in their authentic self. And just because you're authentic does not mean you're hateful. Doesn't mean you got a problem with people, but it's just like, who's going to do, how can you try to dictate what I'm going to speak on, like what matters to me, my point of view. All right. You got to watch out for shit like that, man, because you really blurring the line between what it is to be free and to be in a socialist society. Now do some research. Why they still give you some access to it. Get a lot of these countries that fell victim to socialism and communism. A lot of people come from different countries for that reason. As Venezuela. Venezuela used to be very beautiful, used to be thriving. Now look at it. Come on now. You acting like America can't become that. Look at Afghanistan in the 60s. Look what Afghanistan used to look like before it was just a kind of a hotbed for violence. You know what I'm saying? People think America can't be touched, man. But we give up our freedoms every day. Now, if it happened all at once, people would notice. But because it's happened gradually, you say, okay, yeah, okay, whatever. They can't say those things. Yeah, whatever. It probably some very horrible things. Sure. People who are used to coloring in the lines, they're gonna be the last ones to notice. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, oh, get those guns out of there. Mass shootings, mass shootings. You know, but and a lot of people can look back at a Nazi Germany and they say, "Oh, it was horrible what happened to all those people," but it was a very gradual thing. A lot of people gave up their rights, and a lot of people felt pressured to turn on their neighbors, and that's what happens: lack of unity and submitting, or yeah, submitting to, conceding to a government that you cannot bet on having your greatest interest uh, in mind, submitting to them and then letting them wipe you out. I mean, it really does become a gradual thing like that. It really is that simple. Sometimes you don't even really have to go the extra mile to trick people. It is what it is. But Anyway, because I'm getting a little bit off track, and I actually want to come back and talk about something that may be a little bit lighter or something like that. But in my own life, in order for me to not have to succumb to a cancel culture, to feel like there's something wrong with me because I don't see the world as the mainstream media wants you to see it, I have to be very clear with what it means to be me. What do I actually stand for? And if I'm going to speak out against something, let it be worth speaking out against. Let it be a battle worth having. Let it be a conversation worth having. Otherwise, I'll just let people do them, man. Because the fact of the matter is, most people who would try to police you are unhappy as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, people so desperately want you to be a part of their unhappiness. It's like I was saying earlier. No, man, let me try out my own unhappiness. All right. You ain't figured out yours. You ain't figured out how to get from your unhappiness to your happiness. Maybe I should just figure out what it's like to experience mine on my way to where I'm going. All right. You can go in, walk on eggshells and color in lines and be very docile, whatever it is. Yes. I'm sure the powers that be would appreciate that very much. But I didn't not commit suicide to be fucking miserable by conceding to somebody else's rules, to somebody else's way of living. And so I don't, and I don't always get it right, but that's just human nature. We don't always fucking get it right. And I don't think it's worth throwing away the whole person because of that. Okay, we make mistakes and we learn every fucking day. That's it. Cancel culture is a snake, is a starving snake, and when a snake gets, you know, desperate and it's starving, it's not uncommon to see a snake start eating itself. It happens. Look it up. All right. So, with that being said, thank you. Move on to the next one.